But to get to $10,000 a month in the day and age we live in, it's not hard. Like I don't mean to be demeaning to people, but
within a business or personal income.
Within a business.
If you're a guy in your 20s and you don't have a Lamborghini, you should actually sit down and have like a serious discussion with yourself as to why you don't have a Lambo. 200 grand is chump change.
I've done $5 million in a day profit. It's nothing, bro. So when all these kids on the internet, they're like, oh, $5 million, there's no way. Dude, you have no idea the level of wealth there is out there, and your pee-wee brain can't get it. It's okay. So $5 million is chump change.
If you ever wondered how and why certain people make it to the top financially at a young age while others struggle to achieve even a fraction of such financial success, this video is for you. You might have asked yourself these questions, like what makes some specific person win and not others? Is it hard work? Is it intelligence, discipline, luck, or maybe all of these factors combined? Actually, if we take a look at some statistics in the US, we see that the amount of millionaires in the country is between 3.5% according to one estimate and 6.5% according to another higher one. So basically, out of 330 million people, only roughly about 12 to 22 million individuals have a net worth of at least $1 million. However, these estimates includes all ages and not specifically young people. So the odds of someone becoming a millionaire already in their 20s are very, very slim. And reaching the $1 million mark at that age will make you a sort of a rare unicorn, basically. But after studying this and watching many videos and interviews about why certain people make it and others don't, I came up to a conclusion and potentially a blueprint as to how it could be possible, and how anyone could increase their likelihood of achieving the same results by somehow reverse engineering what those rare unicorns have done. Because always remember, success usually leaves clues, and that's what we will dive into in this video. So to put things into perspective and to make things clear, let's go back a little bit in time to understand this better. The road to success back in the 80s and the 90s and even earlier than that was very, very different than the one we have today. The conventional route that used to be something like going to school, getting good grades, and then getting a job was a very logical and popular one. Back when the average home price and the average annual income were a lot more close to one another than what they are today. It was actually a great idea for almost everyone, especially when there was almost a guaranteed return of the time and the money that are invested to get a college degree. But since the internet came and started to become more and more popular back in the early 2000s, things have become a lot different. And a new generation of young and successful millionaires and billionaires have started to rise together with that. And it suddenly became possible that a young and inexperienced kid could amass a fortune from his bedroom by creating a business, trading stocks, or even playing video games and filming it.
When we first launched, we were hoping for, maybe 400, 500 people. Harvard didn't have a Facebook, so that's the gap that we were trying to fill. And now we're at 100,000 people, so who knows where we're going next. We're hoping to have many more universities by the fall, hopefully over 100 or 200.
But back to the main point, probably the most common thing that you see repeating in every story of someone who made it early on in their 20s is that they learned a valuable skill in their teens and they started a cash flow business around it. A cash flow business instead of any other type of business which requires so much capital for marketing or inventory to start with. So whether it is a marketing agency, a web development agency, or even selling courses or teaching people about their own skill by just simply talking about it, is what many of those young and successful millionaires have done to get to where they already are today. In fact, sebastianghiorghiu himself mentioned in one of his videos that at some point, his courses that he was selling about how to create a social media marketing agency have been generating more money than his actual social media marketing agency, which he also launched back when he was a teenager. But besides building and having a cash flow business, many of those young millionaires have their own personal brands which serve as a backbone to their other businesses and any new ventures that they decide to start, which also in and of itself is a cash flow business if you consider the YouTube revenues that come with it. But the main thing is, it all started with a cash flowing business that revolves around the skill set that they honed in their teens, and which became the main thing that got them up of the start line ahead of everyone else. But still, all of this is almost impossible to achieve if they did not have a very unique and strong discipline from the beginning. Obviously, to be able to focus and build a business early on and to say no to all the distractions and the common traps that most people fall into when they are young, like video games, partying, junk foods and whatnot, it takes a rare form of discipline and ambition. Most of those who made it in their early 20s without coming from rich families have had this sort of discipline and hunger, which allowed them to achieve what they did. And if you really think about it, it is actually very simple to understand, and most people would agree that it's true. And yet they don't do it. And that's why the majority of people get to live an average life. But those few who truly understand this and apply this early on gain a massive head start against those who do this later on in life, if ever. And to be able to have such discipline, you will have to give up most of the bad habits and replace them with better ones. This includes the habits of what you consume, how often you work out, and how many books and educational videos you watch, because it all compounds, and you can only control the body with the mind and the mind with the body. So once you maintain this, discipline suddenly becomes a much easier trait to adopt. Now another very important lesson learned is to be prepared to fail and actually learn from it. They say that 1 out of 5 businesses fail within their first year of operations, and the odds of anyone succeeding directly from the first business that they start is not so high, especially when they are very young and still less experienced. That's why being resilient and being prepared to fail is so important. Many ultra successful entrepreneurs have multiple failed businesses before they find the one that works. And that overnight success suddenly happens. But because most people stop after their first or second failure, most people don't achieve the level of success that they dream of, because the vast majority lack resilience. And therefore, being resilient and being prepared to fail and to take lessons from those failures is a necessary trait to have in order to stay motivated and to continue moving forward. Last but not least, and this is actually something very important and which you don't hear too many people talk about, is to have faith, or iman in another language. I have heard a quote once that goes by, "Pessimists sound smart, but optimists make fortunes." Because if you really take a moment and think about it, being an optimist will serve you way more than being a pessimist, even if this optimism is based on somehow slightly unrealistic expectations. Because having faith and optimism bring happiness, which in turn motivates you and helps you move forward. And that is exactly the opposite of what pessimism does, which is creating inaction. And if those people you look up to were more pessimists than optimists and had no faith in achieving what they wanted to achieve, it would have been impossible for them to take any considerable action. So simply put, believe and have faith and you will have a higher probability of achieving. And if not, having faith will just simply make you a happier person in general, which eventually is the most important thing. So that was it for this video. If you found this helpful, make sure to leave a thumbs up and to subscribe to the channel. And with that being said, see you in the next one.